Welcome to a new episode of the Sports Mecca podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Abramo. As always, I'm joined by my co host, Sam Hengeli. Tonight, we are joined by former UTSA Roadrunners quarterback Frank Harris. Frank, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We appreciate the time tonight.
Of course, thank God for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. For you, your story is a little bit different than what we've had on former college football players that have come on the podcast. Normally we talk about when they come on in the off season, what their off season schedule's like, what they've been doing to transition into the spring or winter. But yours is different. You actually, after the 2023 season, you decided to retire from football. Provide us an update about what life has been like for you since the end of December, early January.
Well, I had surgery on my foot, so I was battling through that for a little while. Still have a cast on my foot, so that kind of sucks. But I just started working last week, so just trying to get my feet wet, understanding how this new business works, and then learning the business side of things, and not from an athletic standpoint. So it's kind of different, getting the hang of things, and just trying to help UTSA grow.
hmm Speaking of more of like moving into that business role and taking that next step, you wrote on an Instagram post after you decided to retire that the game of football has taught you so much, it changed your life forever, and you'll be thankful for it. Just speak on how tough of a decision it was for you to retire from football once the season ended.
Well, beginning of the year, I was already kind of, I guess you could say, indecisive if I wanted to play or not. Because I had a rough off season last year. So my mom was kind of already made up that I wasn't gonna play, and then you know, but God works in mysterious ways. I got ready. I got better, like literally probably in July or August, right before the season started. So I was fortunate enough to play, and then when I got hurt again, it was kind of just like, yeah, that's. I mean, and I wasn't gonna play already, and now I got hurt again. Think that's kind of just God telling me go a different route. So I just listened to what He had to say. And I chose this career path, and I'm blessed to be doing what I'm doing.
Was there, an internal conflict about making that decision the right one, or were you like really set on, this is it. 2023 is going to be it for me.
Yeah, well, like I said, before I even came back, I kind of was already on the edge of if I wanted to keep playing or not, just because I had so many injuries. We won two conference championships back to back. Kind of just wanted to end, on that kind of note, and just the coaching staff playing for UTSA, playing college football with my teammates. I was like, man, if I'm fortunate to play one more time, I might as well just give it a go. So, like I said, the off season was tough. Had to have another surgery, so that's my 11th surgery. I'm just like, nah, man, this is not best for me. It might be good for me at this time, but when I'm 44, who's gonna really care about me then? You know what I mean? So I gotta look out for myself. I want to be able to walk and stuff. So I decided I was like, yeah, I might as well just walk away from it now. After my 11th surgery, everybody I think respected, my decision from it.
hmm Now, I don't know if you were able to read up on this, but I found it interesting. For the preview of the 2023 season, ESPN, did a story focusing on players that had been in the sport for many years, and you had been in college for 7 years. And they interviewed your coach, Jeff Traylor, and he said everyone in San Antonio knows you, and with the exception of Victor Wembanyama, you're like up there with the most popular people in the city. Would you agree with that?
I would not agree. I wouldn't go that far. Sometimes I guess I could say I'm pretty popular, but I wouldn't say I'm up there with the Spurs players. But it's just pretty cool just to get some recognition, in the city that you're from, doing all those things for UTSA and you know getting noticed for it's pretty cool at times. but I wouldn't say that I'm high up there like Coach said.
Right. Just like you mentioned, from San Antonio, you played high school ball in the area in Texas, played at Samuel Clemens High School. For the listeners, when they get to listen to this podcast, I feel they should really know really how your path became true. You know how it led to how you got to San Antonio to be a road runner. Talk to us about playing high school ball back in San Antonio.
Yeah, I'm from Converse area. It's like the powerhouse, them and Steel. I moved to go to Schertz Clemens for high school. And, everybody thinks I got this crazy lifestyle that I've been fortunate enough and blessed enough to be where I am. But I went through a lot of adversity to get to where I am. When I started on varsity my sophomore year, I didn't start the first game. I actually was the second string guy, and coach told me and the other guy, doesn't matter what happens after the second drive, Frank will go in, and then we'll dictate and determine who's going to go for the rest of the game. And he went two and out the first two drives. I got in my third drive, led us down the field, threw a touchdown, and never came out ever since. So I just feel like today's game is a lot different. Some people might have transferred, some people might have looked down. And, I just battled through adversity. I wasn't the guy. That's fine. Battled through it. And then, I didn't get recruited until late my junior year. I wasn't getting offers that I thought I kind of deserved. Kind of frustrating at the time, but all my family was San Antonio, so I wanted to stay close to home. Played for Frank Selfo, who was quarterbacks coach for the Jaguars year prior to. So I know I get some knowledge from him, learn the NFL playbook, getting some of his knowledge. So it's kind of a no-brainer for me to go to UTSA, and then I get there and battle through adversity again, with all the injuries that I went through, and then having a quarterback competition, all those things. I feel like a lot of people probably would have transferred or not even kept pursuing college career, but I just feel like that's just easy way to go out. And my parents always harp on that life is hard. So when adversity hits you, how do you respond to it? And I've been through adversity kind of my whole life, especially in college, that quitting was never an option. Even though some people might say I quit now, but I don't think it's quitting. It's just looking out for myself and having enough surgeries that I don't want to have anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, so I am interested with you being there for 7 years from 2017 to 2023. You went through so much different aspects of the game. Obviously, the transfer portal was implemented in the middle of your college career, but just speak on just the different aspects of the college game that you witnessed while playing quarterback.
Oh man, it's so much different nowadays. You got NIL, transfer portal. I just think it's a distraction for a lot of people, and I got a unique perspective because I was there before all that, and then I was there while all that was happening. And I just feel like kids nowadays worry about the wrong stuff. Worry about money, what they're gonna get out of it. At the end of the day, you go to college to get a degree and play whatever sport you go out there and play. So all the other stuff take care of itself. All the NIL take care of itself. You're gonna hit adversity. Whether it's this year, next year, the year after that, you might not be the starter. But how do you battle through adversity? How do you battle through all those things? Is it transfer portal just because you don't start? It's not teaching nothing in the real world. And then that's what's killing, I'm gonna just say, these kids nowadays, because they always try to find an easy way out. And life is tough and it's not always an easy way out.
Not many left-handed quarterbacks were slinging it around in college back then. I mean, obviously Tua Tagovailoa is one of them, but and with you being a dual threat quarterback, what were some of college quarterbacks or maybe even pro quarterbacks that you try to emulate or you like to watch when you were in college?
Oh, without a doubt, growing up with Michael Vick for sure. Left-handed, number seven quarterback. I mean, it was everything like identical. I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I want to be like. Dual threat. I mean, that's exactly what I want to be like. And then, of course, growing up, everybody UT fan out here in Texas. So I was a huge Vince Young fan. I loved how he played the game. So just really modeled my game after, Michael Vick, honestly, and then kind of progressed on, but really stemmed from Michael Vick.
Speak on the 2021 and 22 seasons individually. Those were really one of your really the best seasons you had, but also you really helped put the Roadrunners on the map. They had back-to-back 11-win seasons for the first time in program history. You guys played in two bowl games, won one. So just talk about those seasons and really what it meant to be a part of that.
It's just, 2020 came during COVID. That was Coach Traylor's first year. And it was just weird. We didn't know him, he didn't know us. So we're meeting over Zoom like we are now, learning the playbook, trying to install it over Zoom. We get with each other. We're kind of learning each other day by day. So that was 2020. So 2021 came, we kind of figured everybody out. And we didn't have a spring ball either in 2020. So it was just weird. 2021 came, we kind of already knew everybody, felt each other out already. So, that success that we had, it wasn't surprising to anybody. We knew we had the talent. We had the culture at that time. We had a great leader in Coach Traylor and all the other coaches. So that wasn't a surprise to us. It was pretty cool and special, to go out there and win the first championship for the city. It's kind of like a movie. Honestly, it was pretty spectacular. And then the next year after that, we knew we were going to be good as well. We kind of had a lot of guys coming back, and like I said, we already won the conference the year before. We knew we could do it again. And after that, it's just chemistry. Just playing. It comes down to playing football, loving one another. We had a great bond with one another, great chemistry, and we won that year as well.
You got injured obviously a few times. You mentioned that earlier in the podcast. How were you able to stay motivated during the times of injury?
Like I always say, God is everything for a reason, even when you don't understand it. And I just felt like He was just teaching me something, a life lesson. And my family was there to support me through everything, my teammates as well. Like I said, when adversity hits you, how do you respond? It's easy to just quit, ask why me, start pointing fingers and stuff like that and questioning God. Well, you really think about it, every injury that I've ever had, if I go back and look at it, it all happened for a reason. And you got to put that in perspective when stuff happens, try to figure out the reasoning why it happened and not try to sit back and think, why me? And I had to understand at an early age when I started getting injured, to not look at it as why me and think of it long term. I understand it eventually. And now that I'm older now, I kind of realize why everything happened to me.
Very cool. How did you stay involved with the team during your rehab process? Like, did you help with the game plans, and other stuff?
That was kind of weird, honestly. I'll be honest. It's just kind of hard to try to stay in the game because, you feel like you don't have that voice no more. You don't feel like you're a leader no more. You're not really out there with the guys doing all the dirty work that they do. So it's kind of hard to try to say stuff and be that leader. So I kind of took a step back and didn't really say much. That was definitely frustrating for me. That was a hard time for me because, I just was voicing my opinion, a couple weeks before I got hurt. And to now where I just feel like, the guys might look at me differently because I'm not playing with them. But those guys, they respected me through everything. They never looked at me like that. I always just thought that. So it was definitely a tough time for me for sure.
So, being a student athlete, obviously you go to school not just to have the opportunity to play football, but of course, the main goal is to get your education, get that degree. How are you able to balance out your academics as a student athlete?
My parents always told us school come first. So ever since we were little kids, we always knew school was first. So when I got to college, it was basically the same thing. And I mean, they're paying for it. I'm on full scholarship. I was fortunate to be on full scholarship. Take full advantage of it. You know what I mean? So it's definitely challenging at times, but it's definitely doable. You have a lot of free time after football practice, or it's just how you balance it and what are you willing to give up, or what are you willing to sacrifice in order to get done what you need to get done.
What did you study in college?
My undergrad was sociology. My master's was in public administration.
Very cool, very cool. That's awesome. So currently, right now, you work with City Fans 210. That's the source for NIL for UTSA athletes. Kind of explain how that works and what is like your role with that.
I'm the VP for them. We're a collective, and we try to just get money through sponsorships. And we have a lot of events coming up, like a football luncheon, men's and women's basketball, a golf event for softball and baseball. We just try to provide ways to help out these coaches and help them keep the rosters and hopefully get somebody on the roster. NIL is a big part of these things, but we're not asking companies to just donate to us directly. We have a lot of events that we do, and hopefully they can sponsor them, and it'll benefit the student athletes.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, NIL is a new thing, and obviously it's been around for 3 years now, and still like there's still some complications with it,
For
but I think
sure.
there's a lot of good that comes out of NIL, and I think that's very cool that the student athletes now get that opportunity to use their name, image, and likeness to be able to utilize that and then help support themselves and their families as well. I think that it's a very good thing, even though there is some challenges with
It
it.
is.
But I think it's overall, I think it's a good thing that is in our in college athletics now.
I agree.
So during your college career at UTSA, what were some of the favorite venues you got to play in?
I would say Texas. Growing up, I was a big UT fan. And then just going there, it was like 103,000 people. I mean, that's like, it was unreal. I mean, every seat is packed. You look up and they're all there to watch, your team play. It was kind of unbelievable. It was definitely a moment I'll always remember.
Did you ever see a game there growing up?
Yeah, I went to a game there, but I mean, I was younger. I don't really remember, much of it. I just knew it was pretty big. But, actually being on the field and actually looking around 360 wise, and see everybody looking at you, it's pretty spectacular. It's kind of a moment that you'll never forget.
Yeah, for sure. My last question for you is any advice to those chasing a dream?
Yeah, I would just say, no matter what it is, it sounds cliche, but just don't let nobody tell you what you can and can't do. I got recruited. Everybody told me that I couldn't play quarterback in college. I was too small, couldn't throw the ball. And now, you start hearing that a lot. You start to maybe believe it a little bit. So, when I got to college, I didn't have the success that I wanted to at first. Thought I was a bust. Should I have changed my position? But just keep working hard, keep grinding, keep believing in yourself. Never lose faith in yourself and never lose faith in God. And it'll all pan out. And I feel like I'm the living testimony that you go back and look at. My first year, you can just see the progression that I've made from the first time going out there to the last time I went out there. And just hard work and dedication and believing in myself and never losing faith in myself and always keeping God first.
Yeah, very cool. I love that. Love that.
I was just thinking about this because you're talking about playing in Texas. The Roadrunners played in a dome. So I think Sam and our listeners would just like to know, like, what is it? How does it feel, playing in a dome? And is it true that it's just more offensively driven? Just from a fan's perspective, it's easier to score.
I mean, honestly, it's pretty special to play in the dome. I mean, it echoes. So, I mean, it could be 50,000. It sound like 100,000. I'm not joking. Every team that plays against us, I mean, they know how loud it is, and they hate playing there because it creates a lot of chaos, for their offense when our defense is out there. It's a lot of delay of games, false starts. It's just a pretty special venue, and it's nothing that you can describe it.
Absolutely. Now, with you being on the podcast, as we usually ask this as several other college athletes, college football players have come on. What are ways that our listeners can, learn more about what you're doing now, and if they have a chance to follow you or promote you, what would you like to say?
You can look up the business that I work for. It'll be 210cityfans.org. And that should kind of tell you everything, or, social media. Just Frank Harris. And I don't think I'm hard to find or get in contact with. And I'm pretty good at responding.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Sir.
We have our social media channels on our podcast, and we will make sure to tag you and then the 2110 as well once it's out.
Sounds good.
But Frank, we appreciate you coming on. Really loved hearing your story of battling through adversity and playing your college career at UTSA.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Frank, for
Y'all take care.
you too. Take care,
Yes, sir.
man. Best of
Yes,
luck to
sir.
you going forward.
Thank you.